fellow Americans and Democrats. Welcome back to another episode of the Me and the Moron Podcast. Captain Sensitivity with you. And across from me, as always, the comfy slipper Phil. Hello there, Phil. How are you?
What's going on, morons and my listeners?
And before we jump into anything, let's remember to please like, share, subscribe, help us grow the show. We grow, we keep doing it. We don't, you guys could go fuck yourselves.
That's right. We got better things to do. Yeah,
that's right. But so at the top of the show, let me give a quick plug for a very good cause. A very, very close friend of mine, Kenny, and some of his friends from the Kenneth Peters Center in Center for Recovery in Syosset, New York. Kenny is a drug and chemical dependency counselor, and they do a great job over there at the Kenneth Peters Center. They have started a foundation called the No Matter What Foundation. It's nmwfoundation.org. And what they do is they help scholarship people that have no insurance or access to rehab or can't afford to go to rehab, that have alcohol and chemical dependencies. They help get them housing and sober living, and they scholarship them. Last year, they scholarshiped over 75 men and women around the New York area, and currently another 25 right now, and we're only into the first week of April. They are holding we went last year, Ellen and I went to a fantastic fundraiser they did. They're doing another one June 16th at the Woodside Country Club in Syosset, New York. This is a great cause, near and dear to my heart. This foundation helped my son get sober. And if you guys get a chance, please donate. Every penny helps, no matter what it is. If you can only give $5, it's still greatly appreciated. It's the No Matter What Foundation, nmw-foundation.org. So please give. It's a great cause, and thank you in advance. All right,
awesome.
So let's what are we jumping into there, Phil?
Well, the country's falling apart, crumbling, stock market's crashing. But first, let's talk about
country's doing better than ever.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm getting a new Corvette.
Just don't log into your retirement account. But all right, so let's talk about this topic. So the U.S. Air Force awarded Boeing a significant contract to develop the nation's first sixth-generation fighter aircraft as part of the Next Generation Air Dominance, or NGAD. I don't know how they say that. NGAD program. NGAD.
Yeah, the NGAD.
The decision was announced by President Trump and Secretary of Defense Drunken Pete Hegseth.
Love him.
And
he was out there doing push-ups with Marines yesterday. It was great.
Well, let's sidebar to him in a second, because Signalgate is not over. But
yeah, that big nothing burger again.
It's a big serious burger. Boeing secured the contract over competitors, including Lockheed Martin, who was actually favored in the race to get this contract.
Was Lockheed the current? Did they have the current contract? Did Lockheed? Are they the ones that had the current contract prior to this one? I believe they were.
I'd be lying, but I think because of Boeing's recent failures with a lot of things and recalls and planes falling out of the sky, that they were in real trouble. So Boeing names their, what do you want to call
fighter
it?
Jet?
Prototype. The fighter jet prototype that's not made yet, the F-47.
The greatest fighter in the history of
President Trump.
Yes, the greatest fighter in the history of the American fleet.
And they win this contract.
Yes.
Like, how sick is that?
Well, do we know what it
$20
looks like
billion
yet?
contract.
Is it orange?
No.
Plane?
No, they have 10 years to do it. They have 10 years to build this thing.
Oh.
So think about that.
More military spending. Can't wait for that. Just what we need is some more billions spent in the military.
Can you this genius in that meeting, like, what if we named it after him? And then, boom, they get the contract. How sick is that?
Yeah.
Do you think it was, do you think that helped them secure the contract?
I'm certain, knowing, especially, although Trump doesn't actually have the final vote on that, Congress does on where that money goes, but I'm certain that played a role in it. I would be shocked if it didn't. Although, like I said, he doesn't have the final say in any of that. He can persuade one way or the other, and he does have the House and the Senate, so I'm sure it definitely played some kind of role in it. But I like it. What's it called?
They knew their target and they
Yes.
hit it. Bullseye.
I love it.
So
I love it.
You know, that's so speaking of military waste, Doge, whatever you want to
Doge.
call it, has identified they went through the Pentagon budget, and independent analysis estimate potential savings of over $60 billion if inefficiencies in the Department of Defense are properly addressed. And they came out with $80 million in wasteful spending.
Doge did that they found.
Yep.
80 million.
That's what they found there. 80 million. Can you imagine?
I'd say it's more like 800 billion in wasteful spending when it comes to the military. But again, I mean, well, you look at it this way. What did the previous administration fund? 0 million. So I'll take the 80 million in wasteful spending put back into our pockets. Not, ours per se, but put back into circulation. I'll take 80 million versus 0 million.
Just absolutely crazy to think of all the rapid slashing and firing of federal employees. What do you think? What are your feelings being 70,000 veteran affairs officials?
Yeah, but the problem is that I don't understand why it's such a concern now when under the Obama administration for 8 years, 460,000 federal employees were let go. The tear was shed. Not once did I hear anyone on the left go, those poor people, how are they supposed to feed their families? No one gave a shit. No one cared.
So
and they don't
Trump
care
is not
about
the first president to reduce federal
No, under
spending.
Clinton was 400,000. No, Clinton was 260,000. I have the numbers right here. Clinton was 260,000 federal employees laid off in 8 years under Clinton, and 440,000 employees under Biden's 8 years. No one cared. No one. I mean, you've been a Democrat under Obama's administration. Nobody cared. No, all of a sudden, Trump does it. The whole world is, oh my God, these poor people.
Well,
nobody gave a shit before.
The problems are, I think it's being done so reckless. Like they fired the staff in charge of procuring our nuclear weapons, and then over the weekend had to apologize, rehire them, and beg them to come back. Like it's shit like that.
But the people complaining about like these poor people, they have families, they have bills. Where were these people complaining when 440,000 Americans lost their jobs under Obama's 8 years? No one gave a shit. No one cared, and everybody looked the other way. Trump does it, and it's not based on they feel bad about these people. It's based on their hatred for Trump. That's it. They only care because they hate Trump. They don't care about these actual people. It's like the January 6th thing. I'm looking here. It says the same people complaining about January 6th and like pretending that they cared about the police officers that were involved in this. So they're awful quiet about the Black Lives Matter riots in 2020 that caused, 25 deaths, $2 billion in damage, and 900 injured police officers, 277 of which were defending the federal building in Portland, Oregon. How come nobody on the left was crying over those police officers defending a federal building? Oh, because it was about Black Lives Matter, and they don't give a shit about Black lives. That's why they all live in the richest white towns in America. They don't care about Black lives. It's all phony bullshit. Like everybody cared about the January 6th cops. Not one person that's pretending they cared about them actually gives a shit. Nobody knows their names. There were like 12 cops injured in January 6th. 277 were hospitalized in Oregon during the Black Lives Matter riots. No one cared. No one gave a shit.
What was the purpose of the January 6th invasion?
They were looking at art. They
were looking at. They were trying to stop an election. They were trying to stop an election.
No, but my point is, like earlier, we did an episode in week 1 where you were saying about like, well, people don't care about, suddenly Republicans don't care about police officers' lives. What about the 900 injured cops in Oregon during the Black Lives Matter riot? Where was the care from the left then? No one, not one person said a word. No one gave a shit. That was okay because, what's his name couldn't breathe. That's okay. Those cops could be injured. It was for a better cause. Those cops could be injured.
It saves me time from editing that stuff out when you say things like that. But the purpose of January 6th was to stop an election, and that's a really really a big, huge deal. And
Yes, but getting to the point of the police officers that people claim they cared about. January 6th, those poor officers, those poor officers. Did anyone that you know of, as a Democrat, any of your friends say those poor officers, those 900 injured cops defending the federal building in Oregon during the riots in 2020? Did anybody care? No one. You could say it. It's okay. You know as well as I do.
Do you want me to spend
no one
hours
cared.
editing?
Well, the Black Lives Matter riots of 2020, no one cared. But how come they care now?
The department.
Why do people care now?
So we should never care?
No, but why is it so?
because
So what you're saying is it's only
Republicans-
selective caring.
No,
You either care about
Republicans are
cops
the
or
party
not
of
at all.
law and-
Yeah, but
Republicans
but
are the
people,
party of law and order.
But since
right?
when? So what you're saying is you're admitting
That's
what
how
I'm
they
saying.
market
Democrats don't
themselves.
care about the police. They don't care about the police.
Yeah, Republicans market themselves as the party of law and order. Is that correct?
Yes, and
We can
Democrats
agree.
suddenly care about
Yeah.
police.
And now when they want to overthrow an election, then suddenly we don't care about law and order. When,
So,
when
but wait,
they
because of
now-
that, suddenly the Democrats do care about law and order? Because of that?
yeah,
they
you
care
guys
about
taught
law
us
and
to
order?
care about it, and now we're trying to take care of business.
Oh, but that same year when 900 cops versus 9 cops, when 900 cops were injured, you guys didn't care. You understand? You see how it fits the agenda?
I didn't know about them. I would have cared if I knew about them.
Yeah, during the riots,
900's
200
a lot. I think that's got to be a
injured,
that's gotta be a
900
crazy
injured,
lie.
277 police officers were hospitalized during those riots that went on for 4 months. 77 hospitalized.
In Seattle?
No one cared. In Oregon, yeah, during the Black Lives Matter riots. No one cared.
Let me see. I'll fact check you live here.
Yep. 25 dead. 25 people died during those riots. How many died
140
during?
police officers injured.
No, 900 injured. 277 were taken to hospitals.
140. What are you getting that from Fox News?
No, I just typed it in the
Oh, I'm in
Google search.
2020.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2020.
140 officers.
How many were
So-
injured during January 6th? 12? Those were
Defending
devastating,
our-
though. Those were devastating injuries. Those were just
Defending our-
unbelievable.
Constitution.
Yeah, well, so were they defending a federal building with federal employees in it and injured, and nobody cared because that riot meant more than the injured officers. But so that riot on
So-
January 6th meant more to Republicans than the Black Lives Matter riots. See what I'm
So,
saying? It's
to
all about
circle back around
politics. Nobody cares, really. Like, nobody truly cares. It's all about your side. That's all that matters to people. Republicans
So
don't
to
care
circle-
about the January 6th riots the same way the January 6th, march on the Capitol, the same way Democrats didn't care about 4 months of rioting that caused $2 billion in damage to the U.S. taxpayers.
I don't remember Democrats pardoning everybody that was arrested in Black Lives Matter's protests.
What? Because nobody arrested anybody. Instead, they dressed up in African garb and kneeled down like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, those two schmucks. They kneeled
Yeah.
down and pretended
Yeah.
they cared about George Floyd.
No.
Yes.
Not
Yeah,
true.
I'll show you the pictures of them kneeling.
So, circling back to military
rapist.
wasteful spending. So, of the programs that are so eager to be cut, our military has literally told
The largest
the
budget.
Pentagon, we don't want to make these tanks. We can't use them. They are useless to us. We will not use them. But we're making them because they're made in South Carolina and it's a jobs program down there. So why is that still happening when Elon poked his little nose in there? He barely got his nose wet, It's just so hypocritical because he's only cutting the departments that are monitoring his private companies.
I don't
Right?
believe that. Every one
I
of
do
these
believe
federal
that.
employees that have been laid off were all monitoring him. All of them. Every one of these federal employees were all monitoring Elon Musk.
13 agencies are in charge of the regulations that affect his businesses.
So the waste that he found overseas in things like condoms in the Sudan and things,
The condom
those
thing was fake. Like that
No, it
was
wasn't.
those numbers were fake.
No, they
Yes,
weren't fake.
they were-
According to who were they fake? Who said they're
They-
fake? Somebody on the left
them
just said that's not real.
Reporters found out that it was
Which
fake.
reporters?
Just like for example,
Did those
when they
reporters
talked
work
about
for CNN?
transgender mice, when Trump went up there and talked about transgender mice, it wasn't making mice transgender and changing their sex. It was a cancer research study. Like, it's just
No, it was gender studies
insane.
in animals to see how they responded to medication before we give it to people who are transitioning due to their severe
No,
mental illness.
it's not true at all. You're so off on this. It is not
correct. Well, here, let me ask you this.
No.
Let me ask you this question. So yesterday, the bill in, was it Georgia? I want to say Georgia, where every Democratic member of their Congress voted no and walked out because they couldn't get approval on federal money for transgender operations or treatments for prisoners in jail, because Trump wants to stop all money, no federal funding whatsoever for people in jail who are transitioning. We're punishing these people for committing crimes, not helping them fucking transition. But every Democrat on that side walked out. I don't understand.
During his speech, Trump stated, "They're trying to inject our kids with woke ideology, even spending our taxpayer dollars to fund studies on transgender mice."
Yes.
The study referenced by the former president, research involving the effects of hormonal treatments on mice to better understand gender-related biological processes. Such studies are a part of biomedical research aimed at exploring how hormones influence development, behavior, and disease stability.
Yeah, hormone behavior.
By studying the effects on mice, scientists can gain insight that may be relevant to human health and understanding the conditions related to hormonal imbalances and developing treatments for various disorders.
Yeah, what are hormonal imbalances? Men that think they're women, women that think they're men or feel like they are.
Their science is, do these medicines work on just women, just men? But, it's that kind of shit that the president says, which are just so reckless and false. He doesn't understand what he's saying, obviously, and the people around him clearly don't.
But I think they all do, and I think the left is wrong. This money was clearly spent to cater to the 1% of the mentally ill in this country who believe there's something they're not. And we're tired of having to play along. We're not playing along. Because you think you're a kitten doesn't mean I have to believe you're a kitten.
You don't believe that the science that was about medical science and not.
No, I think it was about exactly what it said, about hormonal imbalances and the effect on human beings with medicine that could treat it or not treat it. It boils down to who are hormonally imbalanced. What are people that are hormonally imbalanced? Men that think they're women, women that think they're men. That's who's hormonally imbalanced. Like, if you're not hormonally imbalanced, you're a man, you realize you're a man. Yeah, that's what hormonal imbalance is. Your hormones are where your sex drive comes from, is what makes you what sex you are. When your hormonal balance is off.
It assists in developing treatments for conditions like, I can't say this word, I'm not even going to try it, menopause, and I can't say this other word either. I don't even know what the hell that is. Yeah. And cancer hormone studies are critical for understanding hormone-sensitive cancers like breast, prostate, and ovarian cancer. So that's what this stuff is about. This isn't about trying to to help people transition. This is about finding medicines and for diseases that maybe just affect women or maybe just affect men, or and so it's just completely.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe that the federal government should spend 8 cents on any type of treatment, studying, anything to do with transgenderism? Even 8 cents should the federal government spend on it?
Yeah, but
of your tax money. No, but should they? Should the federal government spend a nickel on that? Even
I don't
one
know.
penny?
Well, what is it? I don't know.
Well, because we have money coming out of the
things.
federal. We have money coming out of the federal tax system going towards prisoners in prison for their transitioning treatments, for their hormone medications. Why are we? It's the most insane thing I've ever heard.
If you're in prison, I don't think you should really get literally. You're lucky you see anybody about anything.
Well, then as a Democrat, you should contact your Democratic officials who all walked out and refused to vote against it yesterday. Refused to vote against it. The same Democrats that refused to keep men out of women's sports, biological men in women's sports.
You're really getting sidetracked on the real topic that I'm bringing up is that this president in speeches says things that are just completely misguided and wrong.
I don't think
they're
it's wrong at all. I think he's instead of tap dancing around the wording, he's saying exactly what it is. They're doing shit to mice to experiment how it affects hormones on people. Let's call it what it really is. We've been doing research on cancer for 100 years. Suddenly now we're going to use hormonal treatments and hormonal imbalances as saying it's cancer studies. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's like these parents today that want their kids to transition at 7 years old, 8 years old. They're going to cut the kid's penis off. He's now a woman. He's 7 because he wears a dress, because he likes to dress up pretty. There's no business.
You're talking about such a small percentage of the population that A, you've never met, B, you have no understanding of, and C, doesn't affect your life.
And D, that's the platform that the Democrats run on, is the 12% minority and the 1% mentally ill. That's why they don't win, because that's who they cater to.
We're about to win.
You're not about to win anything.
We just want a nice big state Supreme Court seat.
Lowest approval ratings in Democratic U.S. history.
That's because they're letting Trump walk all over them. That's why the approval ratings low.
No, it's because people have had enough of their kids being told that you're a girl because you wear a dress, and prisoners getting sex change operations, and, they've had enough. They've had enough of the leftist lunacy,
So the state Supreme Court loss was huge win for Democrats.
In one state.
Was it Wisconsin?
Wisconsin. Yeah, one state.
Yep. Elon Musk was funneling lots of money into the campaign for the conservative judge.
So was Soros for the Democratic judge. So was George Soros for the Democrat judge.
Are you
appalled by that?
The Trump-backed judge has lost. So that.
Were you appalled by Elon dumping money into his campaign?
No, but it's just showing you the midterms are going to be a bloodbath for Republicans.
You lost. That's what you said about the presidency.
Listen,
she was going to win in a landslide. You guys nominated a walking blowjob and lost, and you'll do the same in 2028.
And
somebody said Bernie Sanders and AOC are going to run. That's the 2028 Democratic ticket.
No, it's not.
Please, God, let that happen. Please, God, let that happen.
Guess what? Trump's running for a third term, and guess what?
He's not running for a third
term.
Oh, God.
He's trying.
Him and his husband.
He's talking about it.
Yeah.
Bannon's talking about it.
He's not Bannon. That moron Bannon. He's not running again. Trump's not running in 2028. AOC and Bernie Sanders are running. Please, God, if you're real, if there's any chance you're real, let that happen. Democrats win every single state and every swing state. Let that happen. Let the bartender and the guy who owns 11 houses but's for the poor run. Let them run in 2028. I saw a meme today. It was a picture of Bernie.
And we get Obama.
It was a picture of Bernie Sanders. And it said, here's a photo of all the people Bernie Sanders has helped out of poverty in his 40 years in politics. It's just a picture of him. He owns 11 homes. 11. On a public servant's salary. AOC is suddenly worth like $14 million. She's been in politics for 3 years.
No, she's not worth $14 million.
Yes, she is. Look at here. Let me see. Let's see. AOC.
I'm sure your Fox News search engine.
Yeah, I'm just going to ask right here.
Great.
AOC net worth.
Yeah, those are always accurate.
$14 million. How is she worth that much money? And she's been in politics for how long?
I don't know. A while now. I think 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, but we want to see Trump's tax returns. I want to see tax returns of people that have been in politics for 50 years, making $80,000 a year, who are worth $200 million. I want to see those tax returns. So here's a good question. I heard a question, and I wanted to bring it up. I talked to you about it earlier. Somebody had brought it up. It was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they said, if you could talk to 1 million Democratic voters who've been their whole life, Democratic voters up and down the line, that were poor, can you find one that voting Democrat has helped them out of poverty? And if you could find 1 million people that have money that have voted Republican their whole lifetime, can you find one that their vote Republican has made them more money? It's a great question. I don't think you can find a single poor Democratic voter who's been a Democrat voter their entire life. Show me one Democratic politician that's helped them out of poverty.
Can you find me 1 million Republican poor people that a Republican has helped them out of poverty?
No, but my point is, then vote somebody
No,
else. Vote independent.
no. So
Right.
so should Republicans. So it's a stupid question.
Well, it's not a stupid question. It's about the way people vote. The strict, like, I'm a Democrat, I'm voting Democrat. I'm a Republican, I'm voting Republican. Why? What do you like about them? Well, they're always saying that they're going to do this for us or they're going to do that. If you've been poor, your family's been poor for 5 generations and you voted Democrat for 5 generations, which one has helped you crawl out of poverty?
So speaking of everything he says is right, everything he does is magic. President
Close.
Trump's recent implementation of sweeping tariffs has
Yes.
significantly impacted global stock markets, leading to widespread economic concerns. The
Excellent.
Liberation Day tariffs, effective to yesterday, April 2nd,
Level the playing field.
imposed a 10% duty on all imports, with higher rates for specific countries, 34% on Chinese, 20% on European Union, 24% on Japanese. The stock market crashed today.
The deficit with China is a $500 billion a year difference. That's insane. $500 billion a year they have the upper hand on goods on us. He's leveling the playing field.
Well, it's not leveling the playing field. So the stock market lost $3.1 trillion in market value today.
That's okay. It'll come right back.
The
Always
flawed
does. It'll come back.
calculations he used to come up with these tariff numbers, he
Not
picked
flawed at all.
185. They are flawed.
Not flawed even a little. Not even a little. 100% correct.
No, they were not correct at all.
No, they were all
The
correct.
calculation they did
Who's
was
they?
using a
Who
formula
did?
that takes the White House.
Okay.
The
Specifically, his
calculation
economic
they did-
staff.
Yeah, economic staff
Yeah.
used a
You
formula
know, the ones that are
takes
not
the US
Democrats because we voted them out. Yeah. We said no
They
thanks.
used a formula that takes the trade deficit with a country, divides it by that country's exports to the U.S., and then halves the result to determine the tariff rate. with a minimum
$500
of
billion
10%.
that China is up on us yearly. Yearly. $500 billion in tariffs. I say we call, fair, and hit them with the same exact tariffs. No, there isn't a country in the world that hits us with bigger tariffs than Canada. We'll level the playing field with them too, those little mice
But again,
over there.
Trump misled you on that information too. So our dairy
He didn't
farmers,
mislead me.
I forget the exact. Yes, he did.
300% tariffs, 300% on dairy.
We don't
being
hit that
import-
number. We don't hit that number. Dairy.
But
That-
what are we charging them? But what are we hitting them with? Nothing. Zero.
That 300% tariff number is only based on if we send over X millions of gallons of milk, which we never do. We're nowhere even near that number.
Okay, let me ask you this.
We've
What do
never-
we charge them? Zero. Why? Why do they pay nothing? to
We
do
have
business
tariffs. We have
No, not on
tariffs that
Canada.
protect some of our. We have tariffs that protect certain industries in America if another country is bringing in a certain amount of that. Okay.
here? And they should be doing the exact same.
This 300% tariff that he came out with for Canada is such a misleading lie. We've never been forced to. Anybody's never been forced to pay it. We've never even hit that
let me ask you
threshold.
this then. Since you make up accusations, completely made up, that we've never paid this,
Yeah.
what are we paying? What are we paying in tariffs to Canada?
For dairy?
Yeah, what are we paying?
For dairy?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find out. U.S. dairy.
What are we paying?
tariff.
20%? That's 20% more than Canada pays us. 10%? That's 10% more than Canada pays us.
Okay, Canada employs a supply management system for dairy products, which includes tariff rate quotas. Under the system, specifically, quantity of dairy products can be imported at minimal to zero tariffs. So
What's
zero
minimal? What are
sounds
we
like-
paying?
Okay,
No, minimal to zero. What? They're not paying zero. We know that we're not paying zero to anyone. We pay everybody.
we're
Nobody
paying zero
pays
right
us.
now. We're paying zero.
Nobody pays us.
We're paying zero right now. We're
To
paying
Canada.
zero.
No, we're not.
That's right.
We're not.
We have zero tariffs on our milk that's going over
And
there.
so I guess what you're saying is that China, the tariffs with China, they're not we're not paying $500 billion a year in tariffs to China. And they pay nothing here.
We don't pay those tariffs. When you understand, when we sell something to another country, we don't pay that. They pay that.
No.
That's the biggest problem here.
But what are we charging China to sell their products here in the United States? Nothing. What does China charge us to sell our goods in China? Massive amounts of tariffs. Massive. Every country in the world does that to the U.S. If we want to sell anything in their country, we pay. They want to sell shit here, it's okay, it's free. Not anymore. Like Trump said today in the Rose Garden, why didn't this happen with every other president? Why has this been going on for 100 years? Why is the U.S. consistently paying higher prices than anyone else? You want to do business here? We're going to charge you exactly what you charge us to do business in your country.
We're not paying higher prices.
No.
We're paying
meaning percentages
cheaper
in tariffs.
Prices.
No, meaning tariffs. Like, why are you, Phil, selling a shirt in China and paying whatever X amount of tariff, but the same Phil who's living in China sells them here, he pays nothing, pays no tariffs here. Why? Why are we allowing other countries to get away with that?
We want their products here because our capitalism and free trade, we want to sell those products, and we can't make those products here for those prices, first off.
But if we tariff them, then we'll be able to make them here ourselves. Maybe people will start buying American again.
Every Trump product that he sells is made in China. Every one. His hats that he throws out at the Rose Garden now like a fucking asshole.
But he pays a tariff to sell any product in China. He has to pay them to sell his product there. They pay us zero to sell their products here. A $500 billion a year difference. He has to pay them to do business in their country.
The people that want to buy Trump memorabilia in China, you're saying pay a tariff. He doesn't pay that tariff.
No.
The salesperson doesn't pay it.
He takes a less percentage on the sale. Yes, he does. That's how it works. That's how the tariff works.
That's not how tariffs work.
Yes,
that's not how tariffs work.
Yes, it is.
First off,
it's time that the United States stops being the scapegoat for everybody else and pay their fair share. If you want to pay nothing to sell your goods here in the U.S., then we'll pay nothing in your country to sell our goods. And if not, you're going to pay, and we're going to charge you exactly what you charge us to every single country on earth. To every single country on earth. And that's the way it should be. Fuck all these countries.
It sounds like Trump and his followers, like yourself, don't understand the tariff process.
I know exactly how tariffs work.
American consumers are going to pay higher prices now.
Yes, they'll start buying American cars made in America.
First off, this fantasy of the manufacturing boom happening in America because of this, if you don't think these new factories are going to be made with robots that are doing everything and AI, you're out of your mind.
I don't care who makes them. I'm talking about selling price. Buy American. Keep the money in America. Why are we giving it to China? $500 billion a year. China's making off of business with us. We're not making anything off of business. It's just going to be their companies making the money here. They're just going to be making the money here. How much are we making off of doing business with China? Nothing. China makes $500 billion a year off of doing business with us, paying zero tariffs.
Every product we make is made in China, so I'm saying we make a lot of money off of China.
No, and China's making $500 billion a year. But China's making $500 billion a year more than us. More than us. That can't happen. We're the biggest superpower on earth. You're either going to pay the same or you're not going to pay at all.
They're not. What you're saying, the trade deficit is $500 billion more?
The deficit with China is $500 billion in their favor.
They don't have the population that can afford our products. So no, they're not. There's going to be a deficit.
Is 5 times ours in China.
They're all poor. Every one of them.
But that's not our problem, though. We got to worry about China's poor. We can't even take care of our poor.
What can we sell to them? We have nothing to sell to them.
But anything we do sell, they hit us over the head for tariffs. They sell their shit here. We don't charge them anything to do business in our country. Who's their biggest buyer in the world? The U.S. And yet we charge them zero to do business here. How does that work in our favor? We charge them nothing to do business here.
Our business owners and our consumers are able to sell their products at a price that they can make a profit off of. Like
Right.
all of Trump's hats.
But my point is they keep all of it. They're not paying our government anything to do business in our country. And yet, moron Americans,
What are they-
we're always taken advantage of. If we wanted to go do business in Indochina, they're going to hit us over the fucking head to do business there.
What are they keeping off of the 70-cent T-shirts we buy from them?
So listen, Nike, for instance, is an American-founded company. They open up a shop making their T-shirts in China, okay? To sell their T-shirts. They got to pay to do that because they're an American-based company. They got to pay China. China opens up a Sony factory here in the U.S. to sell their shit. They pay our government zero to do business here. Nothing. That's
So
what
you're
he's
not happy
talking about.
that they have a factory here hiring local people making it? That's not enough.
No, I'm always for people working. What I'm saying is they should be paying exactly what we pay. If Nike has to pay 25% to do business there, Nissan should have to pay 25% to do business here. Why do people not understand that or not see it? I don't get it. Why do we have to pay? Americans are always
They're
paying.
not paying it, though. We are paying it. So Nissans are now going to be 25% more expensive here for us.
Yeah. It's either going to be 25% more expensive or China is going to drop their tariffs on us doing business over there, just like they don't pay any to do business here. That's what he's really trying to achieve. Drop the shit that you're charging us to do business in your country.
We have nothing to sell them. What are we going to sell them? Silverados?
Yeah, but here's the point. Are you going to go buy a Nissan that's 25% more money next year? Or will you buy the Chevy that's cheaper?
The Chevy ain't going to be cheaper.
Well, it's already
Have
cheaper.
you seen the prices of
But
Chevys?
It's already cheaper than a new Nissan. It's already cheaper. I'm just saying, you're a working class guy. You're going to go buy a car, small car, whatever, to go to work with. If the price of a Honda goes up 25%, are you going to buy that or the Ford? You're going to buy the Ford. And they're going to lose business to China.
Where do
gonna
you think
lose
half
business.
the products that are in those Ford cars are made in?
In China. And they get to send those parts over here for free. To sell their parts
China,
in our country for
Mexico,
free.
Canada, right? The Senate just voted to erase, they voted in favor, 51-48, a resolution to rescind President Donald Trump's 25% tariffs on Canadian imports. The bipartisan action saw 4 Republicans join every Democrat in this. It'll probably be dead in the House because they're a bunch of fucking... I don't know. He's losing some Republican support with this tariff stuff.
I like it. I want to see everybody pay what we pay. It's the same thing we talked about in the last episode. Why is the U.S. funding 75% of NATO? It's the most ridiculous fucking shit I've ever heard in the world. It's 2025. You can't afford to defend your own country, then join the U.S. instead of us footing the bill to defend your country. If you can't defend your company, then become part of the U.S. Or don't take any of our money. Then we just leave NATO. See what happens if the U.S. leaves. Everybody loves daddy. Everybody loves American daddy because we
Nobody
foot the
loves us
fucking
right
bill.
now.
Well, that's too bad
Trust
because
me.
Trump's telling them all what every president should have for 100 years. Go fuck yourselves. Pay your fair share or go fuck yourselves.
And
Take some
on that
American
happy
pride.
note-
That's
on
called
that happy
American
note,
pride.
That's our show for today. We're running a little long. Thank you. Tune in, like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
And buy American. Buy American like
If
a
you
Corvette.
If you can.